Hey friends, you are crafting with Kim Byers, and today we are going to decorate a cornhole game. So we are going to take our Cricut Joy and we're going to use vinyl and we're going to use lots of paint, and we are going to make some really fun and personalized cornhole games. So you can buy these blank, and that's what mine is. It's completely blank, so we're going to start from ground zero, and I'll put links down below so you can get your own game, and then I'm going to also show you how to use iron-on to embellish the little bags that you toss. This is going to be tons of fun for all those end of summer parties, heading into football season, weddings. If you have a wedding upcoming, this is a great project for that as well. Okay, so this is the cornhole game that we're going to personalize. So this one is called Beyond Outdoors. And so what we're going to do is we are going to paint this baby. I only paid roughly $60 or so for this unfinished game. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was looking on Etsy, and I mean, we're talking $200, $300, sometimes $400 for a personalized game. So I think this is going to be a fantastic money-saving project. So you have this one, okay? And so then once we have the cornhole, you remember I said I wanted it to be in black and white. So then we are going to be using these black beanbags, which is the same brand, Beyond Outdoors. Now I picked these up at Target, but you can get similar on Amazon. Okay, and then I need a tape measure for our design. I also got some tape. So we are going to tape off our design, and then I am going to be using spray paint, and I got flat paint, white and black, in indoor and outdoor, and I couldn't find exactly what I wanted in the same brand, so I'm using both Krylon and Rust-Oleum. And then once we come back inside, we're going to be using our Cricut Joy. And by the way, guys, Cricut sponsored today's craft, and so I just want to make sure that I share that with you guys. And they sent me some really cool colors that I requested to do this project with. So we're going to be using Smart Vinyl in black, and we are going to be using Smart Iron-On in this really cool blue color. And I'm just seeing really quick if I, bright teal. Isn't that sweet? I am loving this color. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our paint. I'm going to take some paper to protect my grass and our cornhole game outside and get to painting. Can I just say, guys, I could not have picked a hotter day to do this. Oh, wow. Okay, so I've got it set up on some brown paper because my husband will have an absolute fit if I get black paint all over the grass. But what I want to do now is I want to remove this so that it does not get painted. I don't have to worry about it. So we're going to take this off. I'm just going to untie it from the back side, and then we will get busy. Okay, so I've removed the ropes, and so now it's time to tape the design off, and I've decided to go with Scotch Blue instead of the Scotch masking tape that I had. We just want to have perfect lines. Okay, so I got them all taped off, and I decided on this design because it was easy to replicate, and I wanted to be able to, you know, measure each side and measure from the center point of the hole, and then be able to measure down and get the exact pattern on both. Okay, so now it's time to start spray painting, and we are going to start with our black. Okay, so it's actually working okay, but I am a really big chicken. And so I am going to run down to Hobby Lobby and get some black wood paint and some white wood paint, great for outdoors. I am just not trusting myself with the overspray. So be back soon. Okay, so I'm back from the store, and I got the paint and things that I wanted. I am sharing this with you guys just because I want you not to make my same mistakes. And sometimes this happens, right, when you're crafting and you think something's gonna work great, and then you're like, oh no, it's not. So this is a lesson learned that spray paint is wonderful for many, many projects, but not for this one. Okay, so what I picked up at Hobby Lobby are two types of acrylic multi-surface paints. They both say that they're great for outdoor. So I got a titanium white, and I got a pure black. And then I also picked up this polycrylic. So this is like magic if you want to put vinyl on wood. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint, and then we're going to use the polycrylic so we can apply our vinyl design. Okay, we've got first color on. Here goes the second. Okay, so we have them both painted, and now it's time to move on to the beanbag. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and what we're going to do is we're going to decorate the bags, and we're going to create a small element to put on the cornhole game. Okay, so what I did is, the first and foremost, when I create projects, I like to get a base background. Some people use templates, which you can find here in the left-hand navigation. When it's something simple like this, there's not a template for that, and so I will use shapes. So you just go into shapes, and for the bags, we just need a square. So I chose a square, which is what you see in all of these black squares here. And so that's just my background. That's not something we're going to cut out, but it helps me to visually see how large my design needs to be. So the next thing I did was that I want to use multiple colors because I'm actually using black bags. All of the bags are black, and so I need to put color on them so that they are, distinguishable between, each of the bags or each of the teams. So what I decided to do is to put stripes and polka dots, and then use two different colors. So I'm going to use white and that really cool blue. So what we do is just go over into images, and you can search for anything that you want. So what I did though is I just went into images, and I chose to search for stripes, and all different kinds of things pop up. So you grab a design, and then just grab the design, it'll pop up here, and then you insert that image. So I inserted two. I grabbed some stripes and some polka dots, but I didn't want them necessarily to have an outer border or to be multiple colors. So what you do is, if you take that design, and my bags are 5 by 5, or just a smidge over 5 by 5, and I wanted the design to be about 4 inches. So what you can do is go up into size and just put in however large you want it to be, and if you have this locked, it will stay proportionate. Okay, and so you do the same thing here. So then once you have the right size, so this one doesn't have a border, which works out perfectly, but this one does. So you can go down into the contour tool and click on the border, and it removes it. So now it's just polka dots. Isn't that great? So then what you can do is just choose your colors. So I chose to make the polka dots into the blue color, and then I chose to make these into white. So you don't even have to go over and make each individual one white. You just go up into basic operation and choose the whole thing to be white. And so the next thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to put our family name on one side of the beanbag. So we have stripes on one side and then our family name on the other. And so I'm just color coordinating them, so no matter which side it lands on, you can see that it's either white or blue. And so what I did is I just went into images and searched for the word line, actually, and you can make it, but it's there. So you can grab that and then insert it, and so that's the line that you see here. Actually, let me do this and show you really quickly. So when you bring that in, it's going to be chunkier than you're likely going to want it to be, but you can use the rotating tool and turn it on its side, and then you can unlock that and make it skinnier or bigger if you want to. Okay, so I just wanted you guys to know how to do that. And then you can go over into text and grab any font that you want. This font is called Varsity Letter, and I tend to use it a lot because I have boys and they don't like anything curly Q. So I tend to use Varsity a ton. And so I did the B and then spelled out our last name. Okay, and so then all I did is, you'll want to grab each one of those, and you can grab them here or over in layers, and then you're going to want to attach them. And then that way they go over to the mat together as one piece. And so we'll do that for these as well. Attach. And then actually these I'm going to hide, so we can go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to delete these, actually, because we don't need them at all. And then the other thing that I wanted to do was, on the actual cornhole game, I wanted to put a bee or some sort of an element down in the bottom white area on each one of the boards. So I just chose to do a wreath, and you can search wreaths. There's all kinds to choose from. And then I use that same font for the bee. And so this is roughly 4 inches. So my area is about 6 by 8. And so I wanted something that would fit within it and not be overwhelming. And so I'm actually going to use vinyl for this piece. Okay, so now I have all of my elements. What I'm going to do is go in and remove these. I no longer need those. Now that we have closed those, the next thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that everything is attached. So we attached our white lettering, we attached our blue lettering. We did not need to attach the polka dots because it was one cut and then we just contoured off the outer edge. Now with your stripes, they were all different colors and so they came in as different cuts. So just make sure that you attach those before you go over to the mat. Okay, so now that everything is ready, let's make sure that we attached this one as well. And we did. Okay, great. So now what we do is go ahead and choose our machine, which we're using our Joy, but you could choose any of these machines to make this project. And then we can select to make it. Okay, so the next thing it's going to do is going to pop up and ask us what type of material, or how we're going to do it. Without a mat, on a mat, multiple ways. We are going to go without a mat today. So we are going to use smart material, but if you had half smart and half not, you could do multiple ways and use a mat for those items. Okay, so now once we get to the review of the mat, what you want to do is look at each of them and just make sure that everything looks the way that you want it to look. Now remember, we are doing iron-on, so we need to mirror image our white and our blue. And then I don't love that these are so close together. The cool thing is Cricut is trying to save material, right? Which I love. But I'm just going to go ahead and make this 9.5 because I want to be able to move that down just a little bit. I don't like cutting so close to a design. Okay, so now what we can do is go ahead and go down. For vinyl, we do not mirror image. Remember, we don't mirror image for that, so we're going to leave that one alone. And then we go down to our blue, and I'm just going to edit the mat once more and make it slightly bigger so that I can move that B away from the polka dots. And then we will make sure and mirror image. Okay, so the last thing that we need to do is we actually want to cut 4 of each one of these. Okay, so the only thing is we don't want to cut 4 of the black. So you can do one of 2 things. You could either go back into the mat and turn the black one off for now, or you could go ahead and multiply your project and just not cut the black. So, and then you could, cancel out of it and go back and just cut 1 black. So what we're going to do is go up into project copies and hit 4 and apply. So now see what that does. That gives you all of these on one continuous piece, which is fantastic, right? So you don't have to keep loading material. Now, you may not have smart material that is that long. So what you need to do is make sure you know how long of a piece of material that you have. And if it's a brand new box or if you have a remnant of a box, then you can make that choice. But remember what I said about being able to go in and, make this slightly longer. So like, for instance, just say I only have 15 inches. So see, it's going to break it onto 2 for me. Okay, and so then I may have to go into this one and be like, oh, I only have 10 inches. So you can totally manage that here. Just make sure that then you go back in and mirror those, each one of those mats, just making sure that they are, in the correct position that you need them to be in. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start with our blue. I have a full box of blue, and so that means that I have 24 inches of blue. So I'm going to put in 24 inches. It's going to readjust it, and I have more than one box, but I have 24 inches, and so then what I'm going to be able to say is, oh, I've got this little space down here, so then I'm going to go in and move the B down, give us a little breathing room, move the B down, and then I'll move each one of my polka dots down so that I can easily cut between them. Nice. And I don't love wasting material. You know how I am, guys. So I am going to leave myself enough room to cut, but then not waste, because I am big on remnants. Is this little piece, I know what you guys are thinking, but I can get stuff in that. I can use that for something, right? So then we're going to hit mirror image. Okay, and so now we have all of our polka dots and we have one of our buyers, and we go into all of our materials. Now we are using Smart Iron-On for this project. So go into Browse All Materials, and it's that top one right there. And I'm going to go ahead and just star it so that it shows up in my favorites. Okay, so at this point we're ready to go over to the craft table, and I'll show you how to make these. Okay, so here we are on the craft table, and these are the things that we're going to need to create our bean bags, as well as the vinyl emblem that we're putting on our board. So we have our Cricut Joy, we have our EasyPress 2, which will be our heat source, we have our bean bags, white and blue Smart Iron-On, then we have black Smart Vinyl. We also have our weeding tools, some transfer tape for the vinyl, and then we have a clear acrylic ruler. Okay, so let's move this all out of the way and get started with our first cut. So with Smart Iron-On, you have two sides. So you have the shiny, shimmery side, and then the side that looks more matte. Now you want to place it in the machine with the matte side up, because this side is has the protective coating. And remember, we mirror imaged our design so that it's cutting backwards. So the Joy doesn't have any buttons, so just remember that you have to go back to your computer or your desktop, or your mobile app to select Go. And what the machine just did was measured to make sure that you had enough smart material to do the entire cut. Okay, so let's hit Go. Now that we've cut out our material, the next thing we want to do is we want to cut away the excess piece of the roll. So you might not be able to see this on camera, but about right here is where it ended. And so I can either use a paper trimmer, which if you guys craft with me ever, you know I use this all the time to keep my material straight, or you can use a pair of scissors. Now I'm going to use the trimmer because I also want to cut in between each design, and I want to make sure that I'm precise and I don't actually, cut over top of something. So right here is my last element. So I'll just trim that off and I'll save that for another project. And then I can move it up, and in between each one, I'm going to be able to see, and again, you probably can't see this on camera, but I have a design of polka dots here and polka dots here, and then there is the beginning of my bee right there, and it's not a lot of space, so I want to make sure that when I look through this window that I'm not cutting over top of anything. Now that we've cut everything apart, the next thing we want to do is weed. So you're just going to take your designs and you can run your finger across them. If you can't see the design very well, then that way you can feel it, but on camera it's a little more difficult to see what I can see actually in the studio. Okay, so then we just pull away, and once you get started, it comes off pretty easy. So once you've done the lettering, you can do the polka dots, and I can tell you it comes out really, really easy. So once you start weeding at the corner, it just pulls away, and then you end up with this perfect little polka dot pattern. So now it's time for us to put our designs on each one of the bean bags. And for the first time, I'm actually going to ignore the heat guide for the EasyPress. And the reason is that these bean bags have a stuffing in them, and I don't have the ability to, it's not a sleeve. I don't have the ability to not press onto that stuffing. And I'm hoping it's going to be okay. So this is a little bit of a test here, but I am going to just take my ruler and center my design. It's a little over 5 inches. If you have a cloth ruler, that would be great as well. And so what I'm going to do is just place it in the center, and then I am actually going to use a temperature that is less than what it normally calls for, and then I'm going to do it for longer. And I, again, just worried about the stuffing in these. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our EasyPress, pick it up. And now whenever you use the EasyPress, guys, you don't want to like iron. You literally place it down. Now I will flip this over. Now that this side is done, I'm just going to leave the backer on it and flip it over. I don't want anything to get on my EasyPress mat. And so now what I'm going to do is take my other design on this side and press it onto this side. I can use my ruler to make sure everything is centered. Roughly 2 3/4. There we go. And so then I will do the same process on this side, and then we will peel them both off. Now that they've cooled, all that's left to do is for us to peel it away. Always peel from a corner, edge to edge. Now this fabric on this side is a little bit different. Oh, okay, so my R wanted to come up, so now we're gonna repeat that process. Okay, now that it's cooled a little bit, we'll do take 2. So we peel at the corners, and it stuck that time. Okay, there we go. And so now we can flip that over and get the design on the opposite side. There we go. So now we have stripes on one side and our monogram on the other. Isn't that awesome? So now with our bean bags complete, the next thing that we need to do is remove our tape, and then we'll put on our polycrylic. Okay, so this part always makes me nervous, but it's exciting too because I want to see what it's gonna look like. So when you peel off your tape, guys, just make sure you go slow and even. So then we'll take this side slowly. Oh my goodness, it's going to be so fun. Okay, it turned out really great. I was concerned a little bit of how the unfinished piece would look, you know, coming through, but I think it's stunning. I'm so excited about how it came out. Okay, so now it's time for the polycrylic, and I just wanted you guys to know that I bought clear matte. I don't want this to be shiny, so I just bought a clear matte, and it's kind of, can you hear it? It's really, really watery. So we're just going to test it on the back of one, just because I've not used this before. I hear it's like magic to be able to place your vinyl onto wood, and so let's give it a whirl. Okay, so now while that dries, we're going to go ahead and load in our vinyl. Now this is permanent vinyl. We don't want removable vinyl for this project. And so this is smart vinyl, so we just need to feed it in. And once it measures to make sure that we have enough vinyl, then we can just hit cut. Okay, so now it's complete. We move our machine out of the way. And then we just want to cut off our designs. You can use a pair of scissors. I tend to use my straight edge just to get everything perfectly straight. And then I'll even go ahead, I cut this out twice, but you know what? To save space, I let them be really close together, so I'm going to use a pair of scissors and just go between the two of those. Okay, so you just take your weeding tool, and I like to go in and grab out the centers of my letters, and then just vinyl weeds really, really easy. And you may want to take a pair of scissors and trim so that it pulls away in one piece. Look how easy that is. The next step with vinyl is to take a piece of transfer tape, and this is just a remnant piece. I want to make sure that it fits over my design, and it does. And so what I'm going to do is just trim this off. I'm going to take my tool and get any bubbles out. Okay, and so once you have that all clear, what you want to do is you want to take your transfer tape, take your design, and then you're just going to peel the transfer tape at the edge. Okay? And as you peel it away, don't take it completely off the backer. Go ahead and lay it on your design using the grids as a guide. And then you can take your scraping tool and kind of work the transfer tape onto the design. Okay, so now all we need to do is, sometimes I find that the smart vinyl and it sticks, which is good, right? But it sticks a little bit more to the actual backer piece. Okay, so now we can take that over to our board. Okay, so here we are on the board. So I have my design on my transfer tape. I have my clear ruler. I have a scraping tool. I have a brayer. You don't have to have a brayer, but you do need a scraping tool. The brayer is just, if you have one handy, it would be very helpful to get this down. But basically what we want to do is we want to measure it and make sure that we've got it in the correct location, and then we'll take the ruler away and we will use our scraping tool to make sure that we are putting it firmly in place. So now we are going to peel from the edge, and it is sticking beautifully. Okay, so I hope you loved that. That turned out really great. I know my kids are gonna love it. They've been trying to play with it unfinished this whole time, and I've been having to like get them to do that so that they don't mess it up before I get it painted. And so now I'm ecstatic that it's done and they can play it and they can have their friends over and all that kind of thing. And we tend to do a lot of bonfires and things like that because we live out in the country. So this will be a lot of fun for them throughout the fall season and for all those big football games we'll be watching. Okay guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, leave them in the comments below. I want you to enjoy crafting. I want you to have fun with all the products and projects and things that you're making. And if you I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and join me for all my future videos. I will see you guys next time.